All right, welcome to another math moment with Mr. Marcialis. Today we're talking about parallelograms. Parallelograms. Parallelograms are quadrilaterals, which means they have four sides. Okay, and as the name implies, we got some pairs of parallel sides. Now, in our first diagram here, you'll see that my two sides that are kind of horizontal, they are parallel to each other, and my two sides that kind of go at an angle this way, they're parallel to each other. Okay, here's another parallelogram. Same thing. I have two opposite sides, right? These are opposites that are parallel to each other, and my other opposite sides are parallel to each other. And so there's some phenomena that's going on here that we're going to explore a little bit. Some things that we know about parallelograms that are helpful. Here's a parallelogram. We got some weird, funny labels. So if you see here, I have this angle and this angle are marked the same. And in fact, in a parallelogram, opposite angles are congruent to each other. Opposite angles are congruent. I'm just going to write my congruent symbol. Okay? And so likewise, I have these other opposite angles in my parallelogram. They're congruent to each other. And there's a theorem with this as a helicopter flies over. If a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then its opposite angles are congruent to each other. Also, if I have a quadrilateral whose opposite angles are congruent to each other, then that quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Okay? So, let's suppose that this angle here was 70 degrees. Let's write it in red for consistency, 70 degrees. That would mean that this angle here is also 70 degrees. Okay? There's another phenomenon with parallelograms. Consecutive angles, which means as I count around, I'm just going to number these labels, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I started at 1 and I moved this way, the consecutive angle from 1 moving to the right would be 2. So 1 and 2 are consecutive. Even if I went from 1 and I moved to the left this time, so we're not going to the right, I could say 1 and 4 are consecutive. But 1 and 3, switch it up, 1 and 3 are non-consecutive. Just like 2 and 4 are non-consecutive. Because there's only 4, they're actually opposites. And they're opposite each other. We can use that term here, and it makes sense. There's another phenomenon here with our angles. If angle 1 is 70 degrees, angle 2 is actually 110, and that means angle 4 is 110. So if we look at these numbers, if I take, say, 110 plus 70, I get 180 degrees. So consecutive angles are supplementary in a parallelogram. Consecutive angles are supplementary. I might run out of room. Nope, I'm good. Supplementary. Okay. Consecutive angles in a parallelogram are supplementary. I repeated myself because it's kind of important to remember. You know what supplementary means? I'm going to erase that. There's something else going on with this parallelogram. I labeled this side 12 and this side is x. In a parallelogram, opposite sides are not only parallel, they are congruent. They are congruent. So if this side, is 12, over here, that means this side is also 12. Let's call it 12 feet. Okay? And I have 14 plus 2x and 8 plus 4x. These sides, if they are congruent, and I want to find out what their measure is, I can set up an equation and use algebra to solve. So I'm going to do a little shortcut here. I have 6 equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2. I got ahead of myself there. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so x equals 3. So the length of this side is going to be 14 plus 6, which is 20, and this is going to be 8 plus 12, which is 20. Okay. In a parallelogram, opposite sides are parallel and congruent. That's really all there is to this video. See, there's not much else. So, a couple things, parallelogram. Opposite angles are congruent. Consecutive angles are supplementary. Okay, consecutive angles, supplementary. Non-consecutive, otherwise also known as opposite. Opposite angles are congruent. Okay. Opposite sides are parallel and congruent as well. That's all we got for parallelograms. I hope this is helpful. As usual, stay healthy. Take care.